Everybody, it's time for another wonderful edition of the Jersey Tales.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay, I'm so excited.
I can't get anybody on this one to be excited. My other show, everybody's thrilled to be on it. They go excited. They woo for like a whole minute, maybe two. I mean, part of that's because we got a rock star on there, but like it's still a thing. All right, everybody, welcome to the Jersey Tales. Who's all on tonight's show? Well, Psylocke somehow made it,
Howdy, howdy.
and Bunt's here.
Howdy.
And you know what happens when you overfeed Alexi too many buffalo Cheez-Its? You get two of them. So we have Lexi 2
You're
and Lexi Producer.
Yippee!
And it's me, Red the Ram. Welcome, everybody, to the Jersey Tales. So we're going to talk about sports because it's been a while. And I'm very much excited to talk about. No, I'm not excited. You guys are all now have just been invited to my personal therapy session. This has all been a ruse. Yes, let's get the podcast back together because Daddy needs some free therapy because it is mid-season NFL report card week. And I don't know how many of you watched the game this weekend, but the Bengals did their best bungling that I have seen since the Marvin Lewis years. I mean, it's been bad. And it was all the hallmarks of what it's been like all season because we come out and we stink or we're on fire, and then at the end everything ties up, and as soon as you see that it's tied up, you immediately know, well, crap, we've lost. And that's even us coming back from behind. I mean, we came back. I think it's the biggest deficit that we have ever came back from, and to tie it back up in the fourth quarter. And we had 3 chances to win that game. And guess what we didn't do? Win that game. And that's been our problem all year. And it's I mean, everybody's ready to fire Zach. And I don't think we need to fire Zach. I think somebody else just needs to be calling the plays. Because it's weird. When he's behind, he's calling the right plays. And it's great, and we're on fire, and we're cooking. And if he could just always call plays like he's 20 points behind, our record would be different than it is now. But what happens is he's like, okay, I'm up a touchdown. I got to start playing conservatively, or, oh, we're tied. Well, guess what else I got to do? Oh, I also got to play conservatively because I don't want to lose the game. Well, if you play not to lose, guess what you're not doing? You're not playing to win. And that's kind of what we've been seeing. The worst one, I think, has to be the Ravens game where Jamar was on fire, Joe was on fire, the rest of the receiving core was cooking like crazy, and we get that we force a fumble or an interception. It was one of the two against Lamar in overtime, and so all we had to do was just keep doing what we were doing, and we would have won that game. Instead, old Zach decides, you know what we need to do? Run it up the middle 3 times. And then we couldn't kick the field goal because that's also been a problem. Because the guy that's holding the ball for our longtime kicker, they decided that they didn't need him anymore. And so they brought a rookie in, and the clown dropped the ball. Or like last night, one of them, he held it sideways. So when it got kicked, it hooked left. So then McPherson was compensating on the next one, which was held perfectly fine, and he misses that one. It's like, come on. But yeah, it's been a mess. And like everyone's mad at Lou on the defensive side of things. But really the biggest problem is we lost a lot of people on defense, and we've had a lot of injuries. So we've already had a thin defensive roster. However, not keeping the people that we needed, and then the injuries on top of it, it hurts. Though he did get to play a little bit better in the last game, but I don't know. It's just a mess. I don't sigh like that. Did you watch the game at all?
I watched some of it. My takeaway was I'm still shocked Zach Taylor has a job in this league, and the only conclusion I can come to is he has compromising information on Mike Brown. He is not a serious coach. He owes that Super Bowl run strictly to Joe Burrow because everything I've seen up to this point shows me he cannot coach in big games. Um, right now, when I look at the Bengals, it reminds me of that meme where there is a car, like a fancy car, that's parked next to a trailer, a double wide or a single wide. I forgot what how the meme goes. And that car is Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow because everything around them is just garbage. And that's no offense to T Higgins and anybody else on that team. It's just they seem very disorganized. I don't know what the issue is for them this year. You would have more information because you watch them on a daily basis, but everything that I saw up to this point, especially last night, just tells me they are in disarray. They look gassed. The first half. Like
It's weird. It's more of a Joe's frustrated. I mean, because you can tell because he's seen the same stuff I have. It's like we've seen this before 7 times at this point. Like it was every single loss. It starts out the same way where we end up in a shooting match with somebody, and in this case, the offense wasn't producing because of whatever reason. Now, to Zach's credit, he made some sort of adjustment in the second half and was starting to call good plays. Again, the problem is he takes his foot off the gas the moment things are close instead of just because I guess he's afraid that there's going to be a big. I would rather Joe throw a pick at a tie game than us just take the easy chip shot that apparently we can't make anyway. So I mean, there's that. I mean, the thing that's frustrating the most, I think, about the team is they're actually not bad. If you look at our record, there's one loss that we had that was a blowout. Everything else came down to a single possession. And so we would have gotten, if we would have had one extra stop, we could have beaten the Commanders. We could have beaten Lamar twice. We just needed a stop, and we didn't get it. Okay, fine. But if we would have made a field goal in those games, we could have won some of those too. In this last game, if we would have made the 2 chances at the field goal, because we did get the stop that we needed, but we still decided not to make a shot for the end zone. Instead, we decided that, no, we're just going to get into good field goal position. This is going to be a chip shot. It's going to be easy. Oh, look, our kicker missed again. It's like, okay, it's fine. What are we going to do? Oh, well, let's march back down the field again. Great. We're zipping down the field. Everything's great. Everything's fantastic. We're now in the red zone or close to it. What should we do? I don't know. Let's just kick for a field goal. Oh, look, we missed it again. Like that was what was going on. It's like, I mean, at least Dan Campbell is sitting there just going like, oh, we missed the first one. Heck no, we're not going to stop. You're just going to, and then you just die on the sword because you might as well. I know we gave him a bunch of crap for it, but I would have much rather have seen Zach get out there and just be like, hey, you know what? Somebody's foot's off, so you guys are going to have to do this proper. In fact, I saw an article that was written up about it that was talking about if we would have taken the timeout, and I think it was like the minute 7, we would have had a chance for at least a couple more sets of downs and gotten things a lot closer. Now, whether or not, third time's a charm, foot boy, I don't know. But it's a little bit of that, and it's a lot of bit of I'm watching a team that I know that their record could easily be flipped. In fact, they could probably be 8-2 right now, except for we just needed one stop, or we needed to make a field goal where we didn't. And I think that's the worst part about it. Like everyone's ready to fire Zach, and I think you could fix Zach. I mean, I'm looking at it from my perspective, right? Because I'm in an industry where they send me to things and they go, this situation's not running well. Go in there and fix it. Watch what's going on and make some tweaks, and all of a sudden things work better. And like I'm looking at it from that perspective, it's like, if I could just get you to call plays like you were doing in the second half of this game all the time, the offense will fix itself. Lou, if I could just get a couple of stops out of you, great, fantastic. Who's holding the football for the kicks? All right, you're fired. And I'm pretty sure I can get a drunk Bengals fan that'll hold it better than you. And I think that would fix all of the problems. But they're not going to do it because they've already said that, oh, we're not making any changes. We're just observing. We're watching how things go. And we're not ready to make any adjustments. And it's like, well, all right, fine.
Well, I don't think you're wrong. I don't want to say the Bengals window is closing, but the window is closing, and they still have to pay. Have they paid Jamar Chase at all?
No, we got him for one more year on his rookie, and then we got to pay him or we got to cut him. What I think we're probably going to end up doing is tagging T again and trying to get that contract worked out with Chase. And he ain't going to be cheap now, especially with apparently what went down during the original contract negotiations. So we're going to lose probably T. And the thing is, I mean, he's been I think 50% of our games this year, but like when he's there, he's on fire and it's amazing. And you don't want to lose him. Now, I don't know how much of his injury has been contractitis. You know, I don't have a contract, so my hamstring's a little tender. You know, I don't know how much of that it is. Without T to take the pressure off of Chase, we're kind of in some trouble. Now, we do have a nice little receiving core that's coming up around those two, but it's going to really suck if we lose T. And then we got to pay Jamar. Now we have money, so there's plenty of, well, we have cap space. Let me rephrase that.
I was going to say,
the Bengals. It is the Bengals.
Thank God this is not like baseball because Mike Brown is notoriously cheap. And if it was, Bengals would probably be dead last in spending, knowing how he is.
Yeah, if there wasn't a cap that forced him to spend the money, he wouldn't. Now, to be fair, though, I did break our home losing streak, so I am still undefeated at a home game. So, Mike, if you're listening, and I know how cheap you are, Zach's contract versus buying me a set of season tickets, that's all I'm saying. You just do the math on that. He's not listening, but
no, I don't know what he's doing, but he's probably not listening.
But yeah, like it's I think that's the worst part. Like if we sucked, like if we were like playing Browns level football, like I think that would hurt less than you could. If there was just a couple of different decisions that were made, we could be lots more, or we could be much better than what we are, especially record. Like we'd be in the hunt. It's ridiculous. So, but hey, you know what? Misery loves company. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your Saints?
Oh, listen, I'll keep it short. I don't have the desire to rant on about this. The New Orleans Saints went on a historical insanity run for the first 2 weeks of the year. And I think anyone who looked at that would have said, wow, this team is Super Bowl bound. Well, it turns out they aren't. This team is hot garbage. And granted, they've won 2 straight now with Darren Rizzi as our interim coach, but let's be honest, they're not going to the playoffs. They're probably not going to win more than 2 more games the rest of the season. This team finds itself in a awkward position of being so much money over the cap. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're essentially screwed next season. So there have to be certain cuts, trades, cap casualties that need to take place. I don't care what Mickey Loomis says. This team needs to do a hard rebuild. It's for the best. It's for the betterment of this team long term. If that means jettisoning Derek Carr, so be it. But this team is clearly not going anywhere anytime soon. And as far as the draft goes, I don't know what to tell you with that. They don't need a quarterback, at least not this year. I'd rather them, wait a year until Arch Manning comes out and play that sweepstakes than reach for Shadur Sanders, not Carson Beck, someone like that. But yeah, no, the Saints are a mess, and I don't really have anything positive to say about them.
Yeah, I think your numbers right. And if you look at based off of last year's numbers, they're estimating your cap space is negative 77 million.
Oh man, that is hilarious.
And then I think the last update I saw that they were estimating based off of revenue from streaming and things like that, that might drop as low as negative 46 million, which that's a drop in the bucket.
So when the Saints were in contention with Breeze, it made sense to just kick the can down the road. Now it doesn't. And they need to just roll with the punches and do a hard reset. They can't keep doing what they're doing. I'd rather us bottom out than try, be like 8-9, 9-8. Like no, because then you get a mid-round pick and you're not going anywhere.
You're not the Steelers. You can't somehow turn a 9-8 season and into all of a sudden you're relevant again.
Yeah,
somehow
we don't have Mike Tomlin. We had not Derek Allen, Dennis Allen, who really shouldn't have been coaching in the first place.
Yeah, but you could have had him. You could have had him.
There's always a price.
And to put that into perspective, the Browns, I think they're estimated at using last year's numbers at negative 44 million, which roughly translates to like one Deshaun Watson. I think that's about right. Isn't that what his contract was roughly?
Yeah, I think it was 240 million that they gave him absent-mindedly, thinking everything would be okay, and he can't stay healthy on the field.
No, not absent-mindedly. It was Browns-mindedly. Like that's just what they do. It's fine.
So real quick, the other owners despise what's his name? It's Jimmy something. Jimmy Haslam, because they ruined the quarterback market with that egregious guaranteed contract. And the other owners do not like him because now the market is reset. And so you have all these quarterbacks who want to get Deshaun money or something close to that. They want a guaranteed contract. And some of them don't deserve it. Like Dak Prescott. No offense to Dak Prescott. I think he's a good quarterback. He does not deserve the money that he is commanding right now. And part of that is because of Deshaun Watson and what he got. So, another one, Daniel Jones. Okay. No offense to Giants. I mean this in a nice way. They should not have paid Daniel Jones the money he got because he is not worth that. But because the market is the way it is, thanks to Watson, they kind of had to.
Well, how about what Justin Jeffries is doing to the wide receiver? Like, of course, I'm sitting over here like I've paid the Watson tax already, and I'm getting ready to potentially pay the wide receiver tax twice with Justin Jeffries.
Who? Who is Justin Jeffries?
Or Justin Jefferson, JJ.
I was about to say, is this a Madden player? I've never heard of Justin Jeffries.
Sorry. Jefferson, JJ, out of. What Chase says, Chase wants his contract plus $1. He has come out and said that. I'm like, great. It's another Deshaun Watson. Except for now, it's for wide receivers. And to be fair, JJ's shown because he's made Darnold look good. So,
I feel like with wide receivers, I give them a pass simply because of the position. And I don't have an issue with someone like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, the upper echelon of wide receivers in the league, commanding that amount of money. But it's different with quarterbacks simply because they are the face of the team, and for most franchises, and a lot of them simply shouldn't get paid the amount it does. It also brings up questions of, well, if quarterbacks are commanding X amount of the cap, should they have their own cap, their own designated cap, should we cut off how much they can make? It's I don't know.
Franchise cap. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. The problem is that if they split that off from the team, we'll never have another good quarterback. Mike won't, especially if it's separate, right? If the market is, all right, well, fine. You can pay your one player as much as you want to have the best quarterback, And it's like, great, fantastic. All we're doing is getting rookies the entire time, or whatever we can draft, I suppose.
That actually
But
would be kind of cool, though. It just to try it out for a season. You can pay one player however much you want, and it doesn't count against the cap. I'm
It's too-
curious to
it's too
see.
close of a slippery slope to get into baseball, and like
It is.
their cap structure has ruined the sport. So their lack of a cap structure, should I say, has ruined the sport.
Listen, I think it's egregious that the Dodgers can pay $1 billion for two players, but no, that's just
Yeah. So now we're still down here in Misery Town. Who else are we gonna go to next? Well, we got a Giants fan.
Ugh.
Come on down. Let's go, girl.
Where do I even begin with this? Actually, you know what? I'll start with some positives. We have some really good offensive rookies. I think Malik Neighbors is really exciting. He's made this team watchable. Tyrone Tracy has really come into his own over these past few weeks. I'm a big fan of that pick. You know, he's a really good replacement for you know, that Eagles running back that shan't be named. I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Anyway, and another positive. Our D line's really good. I mean, Dexter Lawrence is in contention for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, he's up there in sacks as a nose tackle. That's pretty damn impressive. I think that's about it. I genuinely detest watching this team every Sunday. I do not know why I put up with it. Maybe I just hate myself too much. And I think people are placing all of the blame on him. I'm not placing all the blame on him, but a lot of it does fall on the $120 million man himself, Daniel Jones. He's making me look like an idiot. You know, I defended his contract because, you know, I thought he was genuinely improving. I thought that Vikings game was a you know, a sure sign that maybe next year he'd break out. I'm a fool, okay? You should never listen to me because this guy is terrible. He's one of the worst starting quarterbacks I've ever seen. This man is 5 years in. He's missing wide open receivers. This is stuff you shouldn't even be making in your rookie year. Like, it's miserable watching him every Sunday. And now I'm seeing a report today he's gotten benched, and now Tommy DeVito is starting. You know, the man who got us a few wins for the culture and made us miss out on Jaden Daniels and Drake May. What a wonderful Italian stallion that is.
Well, I mean, the one Giants game I watched, I thought you guys played perfect.
Yeah, you know, I mean, they started 2-3, and that Seahawks kick six genuinely tricked a lot of us, including myself, that we'd be a watchable team this year.
Well, no, because when we played you, that was the time I watched it, and I thought our team looked good again, and oh, how wrong I was.
That was a yeah. No, you should never ever think your team is good when you're playing against the Giants. Oh no. I mean, like it's also not even just on Daniel Jones. The secondary is trash. I mean, you got this guy. His name is Deontay Banks. His nickname is so easy. If he were good, we'd be saying the banks are closed on Sunday. But clearly they're open. The man is playing like TD Bank out here. The guy's getting burned by everybody, and I think he might be a bust, which is it's tragic. It's really tragic. And you know, like I said, this 5-game losing streak has been miserable. I think this past Sunday has been the most fun I've had watching football all season. That's because this team wasn't playing.
Yeah, because I think we're getting ready to go into the bye week too, and I was like, oh yes, it's a tough matchup. I don't know how we're gonna make it through. We'll probably still come out with a bunch of injuries.
The Giants definitely lost to the bye week. Like, oh.
By the way, T and Chase somehow collided during practice, and now both of them are unavailable for the next game. It's like, oh great, yeah. So we're still down here in Misery Town. However, I don't know, Bunt.
Yeah, and go ahead.
You want to tell us about how your Falcons are doing?
Listen, everybody is calling us frauds, and most of them
Frogs?
frauds. Look, all I'm just saying is everybody expected the Falcons to trail in the NFC South this year behind the Saints and the Bucks. We have exceeded expectations this year, and people see fraudulent Falcons, but I see a team that I can actually watch this year. Like, I mean, come on. Like, we only have one loss in the NFC South this year. I can't complain. I know it's to the Saints, but I mean, every team got their down weeks, you know. But I mean, like, I got some points about us not being as fraudulent as, like, you know, what some people think. Like, we've handed losses to good teams, man. Like, that's a big, you know, a big thing about this team. Should have handed one to the Chiefs, but I mean, I guess we'll touch up on that later. My whole thing is, like, everybody says this, right? You know, about the Falcons being frauds. But after exceeding these expectations from what everybody dogged on the Falcons for, like, preseason wise, but now we're frauds because we exceeded expectations. That's my whole argument here. Like, and I believe that Raheem Morris is also leading the Falcons in the right direction overall. I like where this team is going.
So I'm bringing Cy in real quick to play devil's advocate. Cy, why are the Falcons the frauds? Because that was your title.
Because I just hate Atlanta. That's why. There's no rhyme or reason. I just
There it is. There it is. That's the reason. I was waiting for somebody to admit that.
The Falcons
was
could be
waiting for
16-0, and I'll still hate them.
I mean, obviously, I do the same thing with the Saints real fast in a heartbeat. If we were bad and y'all were good, I'd say the same thing. But I mean, kudos to y'all. Y'all were the first team to hand us a loss in the NFC South this season.
Yeah, appreciate it. And you know, Kirk Cousins has done a much better job at quarterbacking the Falcons than I thought he would. And obviously, Drake London, I really like Drake London as a wide receiver. Like, he's so good. And if they ever get around to using Kyle Pitts correctly, because for whatever reason they can't seem to use him correctly, that team is just going to be unstoppable.
Yeah, and I really like how Kirk Cousins has clicked with the Falcons. Like, at first, it was slow, and there is still some, you know, little errors every now and then, but, you know, nobody's perfect. But, like, Kirk Cousins has really clicked with the Falcons, and I like watching him play. He's a good quarterback, and it's not Desmond Ridder. It's not Desmond Ridder. I can't stress that enough. Desmond Ridder was the reason why we lost to the Panthers last year. That was embarrassing. That was bad. I was like, man, this is where the Falcons become the laughingstock of the NFL. But overall, like, with the use of players, we're using Bijan better this year. We're using key players this year again. And it's something that's making me happy as a Falcons fan. And, like, overall, like, we did just get beat by the Broncos pretty bad. And, you know, that's kind of keeping an eye on defense. Defense is good in big times, but there's also those times where let's just give up 30 points this game. And then our offense isn't clicking, and thus the Falcons and Broncos game was born yesterday. I'm trying to think, like, overall my whole thing about this Falcons team. Right now, we only have one more win than we do a loss. But looking at the rest of the schedule, we have the Chargers, Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Commanders, and Panthers. I felt like if the Falcons locked in enough, they could end up winning out. But that would take a lot. I feel like it could happen, but I think safe bets, I'm going 4 more wins and 2 more losses for the Falcons this season. Safe bet. But I do have faith in my Falcons actually, you know, obviously making the playoffs this year and like doing better than what most people think. Cuz we have, even though it's not much of anything since the rest of the teams in the NFC South are in their struggle right now, we still have dealt with them and we're still winning our games. against them and in big moments. And even though some of our games have been close, like I said, we're still coming out on top. So overall, as a Falcons fan, I can't complain with how the Falcons are doing, and I think that the fraud title for them is,
Oh, speaking of hatred, Lexi, like, just tell me how terrible the Commanders are doing.
Better than expected. Better than expected. We were supposed to be, I before the season thought we were gonna win 6-7 games. Our total bet line was 6.5. We passed that 3 weeks ago. Just way better than expected. Our team needs help. It's, we just got destroyed by the Eagles on national television. I think our team is also tired. They played 2 games in 4 days, and we haven't had our bye week. We are one of the last teams to have our bye week at week 14. I think this team just needs rest. We are year 1 into the rebuild. I think we need some help in the offseason. It's why I think T. Higgins will be a Washington Commander this time next year. Because I don't think you guys are going to pay him. Because you guys just won't have the money and need to pay Chase. But this season, I think we're not going to win the division. I don't think we have it yet. Unless this team shows me resiliency. But as a fan for my whole life, I've never seen that out of this team. But, yeah, because we play the Titans and Saints. That's probably a guaranteed win there. We play the Cowboys. I say we split.
You just saying that because you don't like the Falcons. That's true.
You guys got destroyed by the Broncos.
That's one game. Can I put in a little bit of something here?
I can't figure out the Broncos if we're gonna beat them or not. Like, I can look at the rest of our schedule and be like, yeah, that's a loss. That's a loss. That's a loss. We might win that one.
At this point, y'all should tank. Sit Joe Burrow and just tank. Because y'all aren't making the playoffs.
I hate the tanking stuff though. Plus, we got people that need to be playing for contracts, so I want them to play good. Also, I have 2 more tickets to 2 more games, so I got the Squealers. Not quite 50-yard lines, but still pretty good. And then I've got the Denver game. So I would at least like to see us win those.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that because I'm genuinely having a hard time wanting to root for my team to lose because, damn, we really need another quarterback. But it's just I want my team to win games because that makes me happy. But then we miss out on the draft pick. It's a very bad double-edged sword. I don't like rooting for a tank, but we kind of have to if we want our team to get better. It's a struggle. I go with the struggle like every week, and I can totally relate to that.
I mean, we already had the tank season, and we got Joe out of it. I guess we got Joe and Jamar Chase, but because it was back-to-back rough seasons. But there's still a lot of football to be played, and it's stupid Steelers can somehow squeak into the playoffs last year. And by God, I'm pulling that we're gonna make it in there. We won't do anything. By God, I just want to be relevant. He's putting up superstar numbers. Like, his numbers are ridiculous. Like, what, 29 touchdown throws now? No. He had 4, right? He had 4 last night. So, like, 31 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
I just think there's a problem with the Giants starting DeVito. I think DeVito's going to win them 1 or 2 more games, and they're going to not have a top 5 pick.
Do you think it's going to be like Rudolph?
I think I agree with Lexi here. I really do think that this team should have started Drew Lock, but from the rumors, of course, are saying that Brian Daboll is coaching for his job, and I feel especially bad for him because I felt he was dealt an unfair hand. The guy is a really good coach. He took this garbage team to the playoffs 2 years ago, and he just hasn't had a chance to actually work because this quarterback is a lost cause. If he had an actual quarterback to work with, no doubt this guy would be in the conversation for best coach in the NFL.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, though, that it is with coaching in New York. Because, I mean, you can win a bunch of Super Bowls. And the moment that the winds stop flowing, everybody and their brother is calling for your head. And it's like coaching in a fishbowl. Like they just constantly are focused in on every little thing that you do, and so they will never ever give you. Plus, it's New York, and they all got opinions. They'll never give you the time to develop your system, put your people in place. Look, okay, we need a reset. Like, hey, I showed you what I can do. Can you guys get off my back for about 2 years and let me develop something? That'll never happen in New York. It's always, we need production now. Give me. And it's like, great, fantastic. Here's a 9 and 8 season, or here's an 8 and 9 season. Hey, that's better than what you thought, right? Yeah.
It's almost like we want our teams to fail. It sucks. As a New Yorker myself, I don't really like the mentality that a lot of my fellow fans have. Like, it's just, what have you done for me lately? Like, no, what do you mean, what have you done for me lately? It's just, what can we do? What can we do now? Where can we go from here? That is the mentality that we should have. But no, then it's not. And that's the unfortunate reality of it. And players are going to get screwed with mentally because we are ruthless when it comes to one bad performance. It's like you don't even remember when the guy is good. That's how bad it is. And then you have New York Post out here making their corny little joke on the sports page of their paper on Sundays, and it's like they're foaming out the mouth for us to do badly so they can make headlines. It sucks.
Yep. I mean, think about how much they hated Eli. He's the one guy who could take down Tom Brady.
Yeah, an underappreciated future Hall of Famer, my dad.
I could not imagine coaching or playing in New York. That media market is insane. The pressure to succeed is just off the charts. There's no other market I can think of that's like that, because LA is obviously not like that. Chicago's not like that. Boston and Philly aren't really like that, but Philly fans are just kind of weird, I guess.
Well,
but Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Sai, it's honestly a miracle that the state has a lot of contenders. Like you have the Yankees who made the World Series, the Liberty who just won the WNBA championship. You have the Knicks who are I hope are getting it together, and all of these teams are really good and yet they're under so much pressure because our media is foaming out the mouth to take down anybody. Like the moment somebody slips up.
Yeah. Now gosh, I remember the hate that Eli was getting even after he had won you guys your second Super Bowl, and it was like, if this was any other city, he wouldn't get any hate at all. Are you kidding me? A second Super Bowl? You know how many teams in cities would die for that? But we would rename every bridge, so it would be like Eli Manning Bridge 1 and Eli Manning Bridge West. We would just rename every bridge in the city after Eli Manning, and then after that, every building is going to be named after Eli Manning. And it's just like we were ready to start building statues to Joe because he got us to a Super Bowl, for God's sakes.
No? Well, then shut up.
They deserve everything. We're, giving money to Rodgers. There are things I could say, but they're not appropriate for this podcast, so I will refrain from saying them. But the Jets are getting what they deserve.
You see where he got embarrassed? I think it was on the Pat McAfee show. There was somebody just was sitting in their bed watching a game go off and was like, "Oh yeah, so and so is like 7-0 or 6-0 whenever they've thrown 4 interceptions in a game." Like they just made up a tweet and sent it out, and it kind of caught fire or whatever. And somehow the people over doing McAfee show had picked up on it and listed off the same stat to Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers goes, "Oh, is that true?" And Pat's like, "Well, yeah, I guess." Huh. That's just an amazing stat. I mean, that's freaking incredible. Like, you just bought it. He'll claim to say, Mr. Do my own research didn't pick that up, which is a bit funny. Like, really? On the one thing you actually know something about, you didn't want to dig into this a little bit further or go, that doesn't sound right. The one thing that you were actually an expert on is, quarterback play. Which opens up the next can of worms. The Kansas City Chiefs. Cheats is probably more appropriate. I mean, I saw it. We played them.
I can testify to this topic real well.
Oh, did you experience them as well?
Absolutely. You remember that game against the Falcons that they played? They played at the Falcons. 4th and short. Falcons had a drive going. obvious pass interference. What wasn't called? Go ahead. I'll give you a guess.
Pass interference, probably.
Yep, it was not called. He was all over him. All over him. All over him. 4th and short. Last couple seconds of the game. If a pass interference was called there, we would have had a fresh set of downs and a shot at goal. I'll let your mind go from there if you think the Chiefs' defense would have stopped the Falcons from driving while they were hot into the end zone.
Well, how about this one? 4th and long. Chiefs have the ball. Throw the ball downfield. Mahomes misses. I mean, it's an uncatchable pass, mind you. But just because there was some collision up at the top, they threw the laundry and got the Chiefs a fresh set of downs, because otherwise they would have lost to the Bengals, and that would have just been terrible. Because, the Bengals have beat them too many times. So, it goes both ways. So, like, oh, I didn't see nothing. Why? Because the Chiefs had the ball? Yeah. Or it was on the Chiefs? Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, Mahomes. Hey, Kermit's got to throw that ball. We got to. Look at this. Oh, I dropped a flag. Well, I better make something up. So.
Then you got Chris Collinsworth over here, always talking about Mahomes out of the game where Mahomes isn't even playing.
Well, now here's the guy.
See, this kind of reminds me of Mahomes and how he plays to his testament.
Look, it's not Collinsworth's fault. He's just excited to see a quarterback that can actually take a couple of steps. He's not used to seeing that.
I swear it's 24/7 with Chris Collinsworth.
Sty, while you're sitting over there wiggling around and moving around and making noise.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went to go get a drink.
You could have muted your mic. Oh my God. Are you going to defend? Are you going to defend Mahomes and say that they're actually not?
I mean, I'll keep it short. The Kansas City Chiefs are still the team to beat in the AFC. They had a hiccup this last Sunday against the Bills.
You mean they were exposed?
I'm not going to go that far. Listen, Mahomes has not been playing as good as he should have. As good as he should be.
They're the team to hate because they have won multiple Super Bowls. They're a dynasty, and I truly believe that they are trying to look for a reason to hate. Like, I don't think that there's some grand conspiracy that the NFL wants this team back in the Super Bowl. However, I do understand that the Chiefs have had a few lucky calls go their way. They are very, very lucky to be 9-1 right now, and this offense definitely raises some eyebrows, raises some questions. Although I do want to chalk that up to Mahomes' top targets not being healthy. I mean, Rashee Rice is out for the season. Hollywood Brown is yet to play a game. His best target is like a nearly 30-year-old DeAndre Hopkins. But I really do think a lot of credit is deserved for the Chiefs reviving the careers of not one, but two offensive players that people thought were washed. Kareem Hunt is good again. DeAndre Hopkins is good again. They're at least giving some life. But yeah, Mahomes is playing his worst season of professional ball and is somehow still in the MVP conversation. That's definitely an eyebrow to raise at. And I do think that their defense is keeping them in games and is the reason why they are as good as they are.
Don't get me wrong about the Chiefs. I do agree with that. The Chiefs are still a Super Bowl caliber team. It's just with me, the whole escaping with the lucky calls and all that stuff. But then again, the teams that are, the victim of that, you kind of ask yourself, hey, we should have changed this, and we would have won, because the Falcons made many mistakes that game. And I was like, to be fair, it was a lucky call, but the Falcons should have fixed stuff that game if they wanted to win it instead of, relying on that one lucky call. But overall, it's my whole gripe about the lucky calls. That's just it. But they are still a Super Bowl caliber team. If that makes sense.
You're still broken. What I'm going to come in with is the Rashid Rice should not be playing football right now. No, like him being injured shouldn't even be he shouldn't be allowed to play this season because of the off the field issues.
I mean,
That's I don't know how else to put that politely, but like, ugh. If you're not aware, you can go look it up. But and I think he's only allowed to play right now is because he's on the Kansas City Chiefs. And because it might impact their Super Bowl chances. And so there's a bit of covering going on.
But the Kansas City Chiefs remind me of the New England Patriots. Not the current iteration, but when Bill was there, when Brady was there, they lean on a solid defense and a quarterback who's doing just enough and tossing to either guys who are off the street or their twilight of their career. And it works because they have sound coaching and the best quarterback in the NFL. And Mahomes is able to cover up their other deficiencies. And their biggest deficiency is their offense. Like it's no secret. So I think once they get healthy and playoff time rolls around, they'll be fine. It will not shock me if we see the Chiefs in the AFC title game again. It would not shock me. But I do have questions on whether or not they can keep up with the Lions, because the Lions have a very potent offense. And once you get down against them, you cannot get back up. Like you just can't. So this Chiefs team might be the only team who could go toe to toe with the Lions, but right now with their offensive issues, probably not. But that's where I am with them.
I can hear somebody squealing in from Detroit all the way over here.
Oh no.
Based off what you just said.
Listen.
Oh, the Bears. We want to talk about the Bears. So they thought they had their fix. It's just like last year, right? I think it was last year, where they thought they had their quarterback because, early season success. And then guess what? The Bears bared. And they imploded again.
Let me just get this rant out the way real quick.
Go ahead.
The Caleb Williams experiment has failed. It has failed and it has fallen flat on its face. Matt Eberflus should have been fired yesterday. Ryan Poles, the GM, should have been fired yesterday. That whole front office should have been fired. The odd thing, you can draft a quarterback who had the same issues out of USC, playing behind no offensive line, playing hero ball constantly. To think you can pair him with Rome Odunze and you're just going to fix your offense and contend is laughable. And it's incredibly arrogant. That whole front office should have been fired and on the street yesterday. The experiment has failed, and the Bears look foolish. They could have drafted Joe Alt, number 1. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not splashy, but it's the right move. They could have drafted Joe Alt, number 1, and I think they had the 8th pick as well. They could have drafted another lineman, paired him with Justin Fields, and ran it back. And they would have been in an infinitely better spot. Instead, they wanted to get cute. They trotted out Williams, and he just is running for his life. The offense is not there because Shane Waldron is not a good offensive coordinator, and Eberflus is not a good head coach. So Chicago's going to find themselves in the same position next year. New head coach, new offensive coordinator. Caleb is going to have to learn a new offense. His growth is going to be further stunted. And if they don't fix the line, Chicago's going to be looking for another quarterback very soon. And the cycle continues. So all this
to be traded to the Steelers, who will then figure out like, hey, we have an offensive line. You get to play ball again. Oh, look at that. You don't suck.
Yeah. So all this to say, the Bears deserve everything that's coming to them. But if there is any justice in the world, those people would have been out on the street because this is just it's silly. It's comical that they got away with this.
Well, I won't say that they got away with it. It's just the Bears being the Bears. I mean, how many times are they just going to be like, well, we got defense. Offensive line, what's that? You mean the guys that are just to slow down people just enough that our quarterback can scramble away. I think the only quarterback that I can think of that would have actually done well in Chicago would have probably been Lamar because of how slippery and fast he is.
I don't know. I don't know. They would have to have tailored that offense around Lamar. Lamar is good because the Ravens have tailored an offense that fits his skill set. He would not last in Chicago, not with Shane Waldron, not with Eberflus. I don't know how he's doing it with Harbaugh, because Harbaugh is a horrible coach. You know, Andy says it every week in the chats, and he's not wrong. Harbaugh cannot coach. Yeah, Harbaugh owes Joe Flacco infinite flowers for the rest of his life for getting him that Super Bowl ring. But Lamar works because Lamar has an offense that works to his strengths. You're not going to get that in Chicago, especially with a porous O-line like that and no run game.
Well, I guess like Lamar is your run game, right? When you're in that situation, or at least he's part of it because they've always got to have somebody that's there ready in case Lamar decides to scramble, and so that takes a lot of pressure off. But I mean, that's the only. I mean, I know because I watched him play at Louisville, and we didn't have much of an O-line, and it was just kind of like, oh, those are the guys that are slowing down just enough for Lamar to like do Superman stuff. And outside of LSU, there was nobody else that could contend with it. All right. Anything else that we want to cover with the NFL?
I mean, I do kind of want to build on the Rams here for a minute. I think Silox made some really good points. I do think that Eberflus is pretty much the problem with Chicago right now. I do not think it's fair to call the Caleb Williams experiment, a failure only 10 games into his young career, because I think that Caleb Williams has definitely shown a lot more flashes than
One
Fields
second. Were you
has.
talking about the Rams or the Bears?
The Bears. Did
Say
I say
that
the
one
Rams by accident?
Yeah.
The
So
Bears.
say the Bears real quick after I get done talking.
But I think Caleb Williams has a lot more potential than Fields does, and you know he does frequently play hero ball a lot, but I do think he's pretty much getting his mistakes out. I mean, we all saw his breakout game in London against the Jaguars. That was a game that showed more potential than I want to say Justin Fields has throughout his tenure in Chicago. And I do want to say it's not like they haven't tried to give Caleb Williams help. I mean, he has DJ Moore. He's been having trouble trying to connect with him, but DJ Moore is a very good wide receiver and is definitely somebody you would want as a rookie quarterback. And you know, we didn't know he was going to be washed at the time. We all thought the Keenan Allen signing was good. We all thought that this was going to be a really good receiving core. Obviously, that hasn't really been the case, but it's not like the Bears weren't trying to give Caleb Williams the help. It's just that they haven't really been cooperating with each other, and that mainly does fall on the coaching.
Lexi, here are some intros and outros for you. Hey everyone, Red here. Our episode went a little longer than expected, so we decided to split this up into 2 parts for you. So here is part 1.